Thank you for joining me today for a beginner yoga class. For those that have never done yoga or are new to yoga, obviously with what's going on, we have the opportunity to try new things and hopefully find a love for yoga while we do this. So if you have blocks or a blanket, or if you don't have blocks, you could possibly use books. You could use a pillow just to have a little bit of support maybe as we move through the practice in different poses. And I'll give you some different modifications that you can use as well that will hopefully will work for your body and for your practice. So we will get started in a seated position. So just sitting nice and comfortable, and you can cross those ankles and just maybe rocking back and forth and then allowing those sit bones to settle in. I want you to feel nice and tall for the midline of the body all the way through the crown of the head, reaching up towards the sky. And placing those hands down on those knees, and palms can be facing down or palms can be facing up. And taking a moment to just roll those shoulders up and then just allow them to release down. Take this opportunity to close the eyes or maybe have them halfway. And just let yourself settle here. Start to let everything go. Allowing the chatter of the mind to settle. And allowing yourself to be present as we move through the practice. As we're here, I'd like you to take a nice big inhale through the nose. And then take an open mouth exhale to let it all out. Again, one more time, take a nice big inhale through the nose. Fill the body all the way up with that breath. And then as you exhale it out, let it all go. Now we'll start to work on our breath connection, our Ujjayi breath. This time we'll keep the mouth closed, and we're taking a nice slow inhale through the nose. And then as we exhale, we're exhaling out through the nose as well. I want you to think about, as you're taking that inhale, noticing the breath moving up through the belly, through the lungs, to the chest. And then as you slowly exhale it out, really noticing the emptying out of the body. So we'll take just a few rounds of breath. Really start to build this breath connection, because as we move through the practice, it is so important to keep that breath. Helps us move through the poses, helps us to stay connected. Take one more inhale through the nose, fill the body all the way up. And then again, exhale it out through the nose. You can slowly start to open those eyes. And we'll take an inhale for arms to rise up. So inhale those arms up overhead. And then exhale those hands to that heart center. Again, inhale those arms up overhead, fill the body all the way up with that breath through the nose, and then exhale it out through the nose. Yeah. One more time. Inhale, fill the body up, and then exhale it out. Nice. Now from here, I'd like you to place one hand on the earth and take a micro bend into that elbow, and then inhale the opposite arm up, and take a nice little bend here, side bend. Again, you're micro bending into that elbow, and you're just reaching those fingertips towards that side wall. We start to feel this lengthening through the side body, this opening, just getting a nice stretch here. You can even gaze underneath that arm. Keep that breath, those inhales and those exhales. On our next inhale, I want us to come up through center. As we exhale, place the opposite hand on the earth. Again, micro bend into that elbow, and then we bring those fingertips up to reach towards that side wall. Hold it here. Again, you can gaze up underneath that arm. Feel that lengthening of that side body. Take an inhale to come up through center. Exhale, bring that hand down. Awesome job. Okay, now from here, we're coming into our tabletop pose. So we're coming on to those hands and knees. So come on to those hands and knees. And think about the shoulders being over the wrists. And those fingertips are facing towards the front of the mat. And you're feeling all 10 pads pressing into the earth, and feel that thumb pad really pressing into the earth as well. Now thinking about the arms, we don't want a night, let me look towards you. So thinking about the arms here, we don't want that bend into the elbows. You want to take this movement like you're opening pickle jars, turning those hands on the earth, and then you feel the inner elbows turn towards the front of the mat. Yeah, so you're nice and strong here. Palms are pressing into the earth. You're not just collapsing. You have the straight arms. Keep them, we're not locking the elbow joint. So hold it here, and we're holding and breathing. Now let's think about the hips over the knees. So we know how we have our hands pressing into the mat, like we have those pickle jars turning those inner elbows towards the front of the room. And then think about the hips being over those knees. So we're in this tabletop pose. And the crown of the head is reaching towards the front of the room. Tailbone is reaching towards the back. And try not to allow an arch in that back. We don't want the arch in the back. So think about engaging the core so belly button draws in towards that spine. We hold it here. Now we're in our tabletop pose, holding, breathing. Keep those inhales, keep those exhales. That belly button is engaged, holding here. Keep breathing. Nice. Now we will take movement here, working through our cat-cow. So as we inhale, this time we allow the belly to drop down, feel an arch come into that back. Tailbone lifts up towards the sky. You can even gaze towards the front of the room. And then as we exhale, I want you to press the palms into the earth, start to get this rounding of the spine, and our gaze is in towards the navel as we come into our cat. So again, we inhale, come into our cow. Exhale, come into that cat. Feel that rounding of the spine. Press those palms into the earth like an angry cat. Inhale to come into our cat. Exhale to come into that cat, moving on our breath. Inhale. And then exhale. Nice. Inhale. Working through our cat-cow. Exhale back into that cat. Now we meet back into our neutral tabletop. Hold it here. Again, we have this lengthening through the spine. That core is engaged. Belly button drawing in towards the spine. Holding here. Breathing. Holding. I'd like you to tuck those toes under. So tuck the toes under. And then press into the toes. And we're going to add a little bit of strength here. And press into the palms to lift those knees and shins to hover off the earth. Hold it here. Keep that core engaged. Belly button in towards that spine. You're going to start to feel that body warming up. That core is engaged. It's starting to fire us up here. Keep that breath. Those inhales and then those exhales. Yeah. One more time. Nice big inhale. Nice big exhale. Take an inhale together. As we exhale, start to lift those hips up. They reach up towards the sky, coming into our downward facing dog. So we'd like those feet to be hip-width distance apart, almost like you can place two fists in between those feet. And again, palms are pressing into the earth. That thumb pad is pressing into the earth. Again, we don't have that bend in the elbows. We're rotating those inner elbows towards the front of the room. Hold it here. Breathe. And we're in a nice V position. The neck is just hanging here. It's nice and loose. You can shake the head yes, shake the head no. Now, there should be no rounding in the spine. If you feel as though you have a cat back or you're arching, we're trying to keep that spine nice and long. Now you can take a nice little bend into the knees. Yeah, holding it here. And then maybe you start to straighten. So let's take a bend together. Let's start to slowly lower those knees down. Lower it down. And then press back into the feet to rise it back up. And we're in our down dog. Hold it here. Nice job. Now, if you have tight shoulders and this isn't feeling comfortable, maybe you bring those hands just a little bit further, holding it here. So find what feels good for the body. And again, keeping that core engaged, belly button in towards that spine. Yeah, hold it here. Now we're pressing those heels down towards the earth. They don't have to touch the mat. They can hover. My heels don't touch the mat, so don't stress that. Keep breathing. This may start to feel a little intense. That's okay. Now I want us to take a little bit of movement. I want you to inhale to come up onto the tips of those toes, so we lift those heels all the way up, and then exhale to bring it down. Again, inhale, come up onto the balls of those feet, those tippy toes, and then exhale those heels down. One more time. Inhale to rise up into the tips of those toes, lift those heels up, and then exhale it down. One more time. Inhale, rise up into the tips of those toes. And now we start to walk those feet up towards our hands. Yeah. So we come up towards the front of the mat. And thinking about those feet can stay hip-width distance apart. Maybe one fist fits in between those feet. I'd like you to take a micro bend into the knees. Think about the chest and the belly about the belly resting on the thighs. Holding it here. And just allow the neck to hang. Now let's grab those opposite elbows so we come into a ragdoll. So this is your ragdoll position. Now you can slowly start to straighten those knees. I always like to keep a bend. I have really tight hamstrings, so it just helps me here. And staying here in this ragdoll, you can sway from side to side. Again, allowing the neck and shoulders to be light here. Hanging out. Now let's release the hands. And we're coming into a halfway lift. So taking a halfway lift, you can bring those hands to those shins, or you can bring those hands to those thighs, keep them nice bend into those knees. I like to bring my hands to shins. And then again, we're thinking about this lengthening through the spine. So we have this nice flat back, holding it here. Breathing, and think about rolling those shoulders back so they're not up by our ears. Yeah, crown of the head reaching towards the front of the room. Holding here in this halfway lift. Awesome. Take an inhale together. As we exhale, we fold it forward. Again, you can micro bend into those knees. And then on our inhale, we take that halfway lift. Lengthen through the spine. We're nice and strong here. Exhale for that forward fold. One more time. Inhale for that halfway lift. Exhale for that forward fold. This time, we inhale and we rise to stand. Bring those arms up overhead. Look up towards the sky. And then exhale those hands to our heart center. Awesome. So meeting here in mountain pose or Tadasana. And we're going to stay here for just a moment. Relax the shoulders, relax the face. Settle in. We've done a lot already. And we'll continue on. So we take an inhale for those arms to rise up. And then as we exhale, we can fold it forward. Micro bend into those knees. And then inhale for that halfway lift. Again, lengthen through that spine. Exhale for forward fold. One more time. Inhale for halfway lift. And this time as we exhale, I'd like you to place your hands on the earth, and let's just step back and come into our down dog. So meet back into that down dog pose. Again, thinking about those hands, fingertips are towards the front of the mat. Yeah. Thumb pads are pressing into the earth, those inner elbows towards the front of the room, like you're turning those pickle jars. Those feet are hip-width distance apart. Again, you can fit 2 fists between the feet. We're in that nice V position. That core is engaged. Belly button in towards that spine. We're holding it here. Awesome. Breathing, holding. Beautiful. Holding. Keep it here. Take a nice big inhale to fill the body all the way up. And then exhale it out. Awesome. One more time. Fill the body all the way up. And then exhale it out. From here, I'd like us to shift to come into a plank pose, so a position of a push-up.
So we are taking an inhale to roll into a plank pose. And this will help noticing if you can come right into a plank position, this distance of your dog. So that's a good measuring of where your dog should be for hand and feet separation. So then we'll take an inhale together. As we exhale, we can press back up into that downward facing dog. So it's like a seamless transition. We inhale to come back into that plank. And then we exhale to that downward facing dog. Just one more time, I promise. Inhale to come into that plank. Hold it here. I want you to come just slightly forward on the toes, and then I'd like you to lower the knees down, untuck the toes. So we stay right here. Palms are still pressing into the earth. And then I'd like you to slowly lower that upper body down. But as we lower down, keep those elbows squeezing into that side body. They're not winging out to the side, and we're lowering down onto our bellies. Awesome. Stay right here. Hands are underneath the shoulders. Taking a moment to lift the toes up and then press the tops of the feet into the mat as we work into our cobra pose. Squeezing those elbows in towards each other, so we're squeezing them in. So again, they're not winging out. We're squeezing elbows in towards each other. And we're coming into a baby cobra, which is a baby back bend. So take an inhale to rise up, press the palms into the earth. And just taking a little bit of movement here. Inhaling. And then as we exhale, lower it down. So you feel the tops of the feet press into the earth. Again, as we inhale to come up into that baby cobra. And then exhale it down. Awesome. Again, inhale to come into that baby cobra. And then exhale it down. Awesome. We'll take it one more time. You can inhale to come up into that baby cobra, or maybe you take it a little bit further. Inhale to rise up into that cobra. Don't have to come as high as me. You go to where it works for the body. And then I want you to tuck the toes under, and you can bend into the knees and come back up into that downward facing dog. Awesome. Back into our down dog pose. Hold it here. Breathing. Reconnect. Take a nice big inhale to fill that body all the way up. And exhale it out. On our next inhale, rise up into the tips of those toes. Again, I'd like you to walk those feet up towards our hands. Again, those feet are at that hip width distance. Take an inhale for that halfway lift. Exhale for forward fold. I'd like you to stay right here in that forward fold. Bend into the knees. Tailbone drops down. Come up into our chair pose. Utkatasana. Hold it here. So we're going to have those feet that hip width distance apart. Holding it here. We're in like a seated position, our chair position, so that tailbone is pointing down, that core is engaged, arms can be up by the ears, so biceps are by the ears, or if that doesn't feel comfortable, you can bring your arms right out in front. So find what works here. Holding in our chair, really start to feel the body working here, starting to fire up. Breathe. Taking one more inhale, one more exhale. On our next inhale, press into the feet to rise to stand, and then exhale, hands to that heart center. Awesome job. Meeting back into Tadasana, our mountain pose. So inhale those arms up, and then as we exhale, fold it forward. Inhale for a halfway lift. As we exhale, place our hands on the earth. And I'd like you to step back right into that downward facing dog. Move back into our down dog pose. Hold it here. Settle in. Nice. On our inhale, let's roll into that plank pose. Hold it here. Come slightly forward on those toes. Lower those knees down. Untuck the toes. And then we bring that upper body down. Nice job. Keep the tops of the feet pressing into the mat as we inhale through that cobra. Roll those shoulders back. Keep elbows squeezing in towards that side body. Tuck the toes. Come up through those knees. And then to that downward facing dog. Yeah, hold it here. Settle in. Again, take an inhale to rise up into the tips of those toes. And we'll walk those feet up towards our hands. Inhale for that halfway lift. Exhale for that forward fold. I want you to stay in the forward fold. Bend into the knees. Tailbone starts to lower down. Arms rise up back into that chair pose, Utkatasana. Feet are hip-width distance apart. Hold it here. Settle in. Gaze is towards the front of the room. Holding here for 5 breaths. Yeah. Start to feel the body firing up. You're doing awesome. Keep breathing. Got 2 more. Yeah, working our chair. On our next inhale, press into the legs to rise to stand. Exhale, hands to that heart center. Awesome. We'll go 1 more time through. Inhale those arms up. Exhale for that forward fold. Inhale for that halfway lift. As we exhale, place our hands on the mat. Step back into this time we're going to step back into our plank. Ooh, hold it here in that plank pose. And if you need to, you can lower those knees down and you can stay right here. So that's a modification. If we're in our plank, we hold it here. Come slightly forward on those toes. And with control, lower the knees down, untuck the toes, and then we slowly lower our bodies all the way down. Awesome. Press into the tops of those feet. Inhale through that cobra. Roll those shoulders back. Tuck the toes. Exhale to downward facing dog. Nice job. Hold it here. Reconnect. Take that inhale to fill the body all the way up. And exhale it out. On our next inhale, we rise up into the tips of those toes. And again, we walk those feet up towards our hands. I want those feet to stay that hip-width distance apart. We inhale for that halfway lift. We exhale for that forward fold. We stay in the forward fold. We micro bend into the knees. As we do so, tailbone drops down. We rise up into Utkatasana. We come into our chair pose. Hold it here. Weight is in those heels. We can wiggle those toes. Cores engage. Belly button in towards that spine. Again, we're holding here for 5 breaths. Woo. Keep breathing here. Feel connected. Keep our breath. Keeps us focused. Find your focal point. Find a drishti. Helps us hold these poses. On our next inhale, rise to stand. Exhale those hands back to that heart center. Awesome job. Back to Tadasana, mountain pose. Inhale, arms up. As we exhale, fold it forward. Micro bend into those knees. Inhale for that halfway lift. As we exhale, place our hands on the earth and step back into your plank. Step 1 leg back and then the other. Again, you can stay right here in that plank pose or lower those knees down, and this is where you are. So we'll start with ourselves in this plank. Come slightly forward on the toes. Lower those knees down and bring the body all the way down, or maybe you're feeling a little more adventurous. You come slightly forward on those toes with control, keeping the hips and shoulders in line. We lower that body all the way down. Yeah. That was a little challenge. If you took it, great. If not, we get it next time around. We inhale through that cobra. We tuck those toes, bend into the knees, and come up into that downward facing dog. Or maybe you come up through that cobra, tuck the toes, and right into your down dog pose. So remember, as you work through your practice, it's your practice. And to go at your own pace and to find what works for your body. Take the modifications that you need, find that flow, and know that some days you'll be stronger than others. And you just keep moving. You just keep breathing. Take an inhale to rise up into the tips of those toes, and we'll walk those feet up towards our hands. And we'll take that inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale for forward fold. And then inhale for arms to rise up. And exhale those hands to that heart center. Awesome. So from here, we're working into just a couple standing poses. We'll start with crescent lunge or high lunge. So I'm going to stay facing towards the front of my mat. And let's first of all put those hands on those hips. And those feet again can be that hip width distance apart. And we will start with stepping that left foot back. So step that left foot back. Take a nice bend into that right knee. So thinking about that right knee in line with that right ankle. You do not want it beyond that ankle. You can even have it behind the ankle, but not beyond. So you want to feel that right toe mound pressing into the earth. We're on the ball of that left foot. So we're in this crescent lunge. And you can hold it right here. You can even take a bend into that left knee. You start to feel that pelvic bone tuck under. It helps with stability. Or maybe you start to straighten that left leg. And then we'll start to bring arms up overhead. So we're meeting into our crescent, our high lunge. Hold it here. I want you to relax the shoulders so they're not up by our ears. Relax the shoulders, relax the face. Holding, breathing. Legs are working here. Nice. Keep the core engaged, belly button in towards that spine. Keep our breath. Taking one more inhale, one more exhale. Let's bring those arms, hands back to those hips, and I'd like you to step that left foot up to meet right. Awesome job. And we'll take it to the opposite side. So step that right foot back. Again, if you're just right here in that lunge, this is where you are. Or maybe you can go a little bit further. Or maybe you're right here. So I really want you to work with your body and find what feels good. Most important, if you start to feel any pain, you need to back out of that pose and find what works for you. Again, we're thinking about that left knee being over that left ankle. Nice bend into the knee. We're on the ball of that right foot. Again, you can take a nice micro bend into that right knee. Think about that pelvic bone tucking under. And then maybe you keep the bend in the right knee, or maybe you start to straighten it. And then arms can come up overhead. We're into our crescent, into our high lunge. Again, find your focal point, that drishti. Settle in. Keep your breath. You're building strength right here in this pose. Working those legs, that left toe mound pressing into the earth, keeping us stable, keeping us steady, feeling grounded here. Relax the shoulders, relax the face, crack a smile. Yes, you're working so hard, you're doing awesome. Taking one more inhale, one more exhale. I'd like you to bring those hands back to the hips and we step that right foot up to meet left. Beautiful job. Let's take an inhale for arms to rise up. And then exhale, hands to that heart center. And we'll work from crescent into warrior two. I know it sounds a little crazy. Maybe it is just a little, but you'll be fine. It's a transition that I often use in my sequences. So if you practice with me, I like to go from high lunge into warrior two. Just a nice transition, a nice opening. So we'll inhale those arms up. And then as we exhale, let's step that left foot back. So we come back into our crescent, into our high lunge. Again, I always like to take this opportunity to connect. If you feel unstable, you're shaky, find where you can settle in. Find where you feel stable. Find where you feel steady. Hold it here. Breathe. Settle in. Now I'd like you to take an inhale together. As we exhale, we start to come to the arch of that left foot. So we come to the inner arch of that left foot. We open those arms out into a T. So we're going to break down this pose. We'll break it down. Nice. We keep that bend into that right knee. We can see that big toe, so that right knee isn't collapsing in. That right knee is pressing towards that back wall. Arms are out into that T. Shoulders are relaxed. Hold it here. Now think about that back leg. We're pressing into the razor edge of that left foot. Yeah, so legs are strong. And then we're also lengthening through the side body. So inhale those arms up, lengthening through the side body, crown of the head reaching up towards the sky. And then we start to take our gaze over those front fingertips. Hold it here. We're in our warrior two, holding strong, holding steady. Keep that core engaged. So I'd like you to slowly straighten that front leg. Start to rotate the toes towards the left side of the mat. Keep the arms out into a T. And then we'll just slightly turn heels in and toes are out. And bring those arms up overhead. We're into a star pose. Yeah, hold it here. Take an inhale together. As we exhale, we come into our goddess. Nice bend into both of those knees. You can keep the arms out into a T.
Again, we'll just break this down. Knees are not collapsing in, they're pushing towards the back of the room. Nice and tall through the midline of the body, tailbone is reaching down towards the earth, core is engaged. And we're just gonna take a little bit of movement here. So we rise up to our star, exhale to our goddess, nice. Rise up to our star, exhale to our goddess. One more time. Inhale to rise up to that star. Exhale to our goddess. Bring our hands in for prayer. Hold it here in this goddess pose, and we'll just pulse it out for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring those hands to hips. Slowly straighten the legs. Heel toe the feet in, and then we'll step to the front of our mat. So back to our mountain pose. Take an inhale for our arms to rise up. And exhale, hands back to that heart center. Inhale those arms up. And then as we exhale, step that right foot back, coming into our crescent, into our high lunge. Settle here. We're into our crescent. We're settling in. Again, we find where we're stable. We find where we feel steady and strong. Again, that left knee over that left ankle. Again, you can take a nice bend into that right knee. Think about that pelvic bone tucking under. And you can keep the bend into the right knee or slowly straighten it out. Hold it here. Take an inhale together. As we exhale, come to the arch of that right foot. Open arms out into that T. Hold it here. Nice. Nice bend. We keep the bend into that left knee. We can see that big toe. Press into the razor edge of that right foot. Holding here, holding steady. Relax the shoulders. Gaze over those front fingertips. Holding here, settle in. Nice, so slowly straighten that front leg. Again, rotate the toes towards the right side of our mat, and I'll just turn around so I can see you, or you can see me. So again, toes are towards that side of the mat, arms are still out into that T. Taking that adjustment to rotate toes out, heels are in. And then I'd like you to bring arms up overhead so we're into our star pose. Yeah. Take an inhale together. As we exhale, we take the bend into the knees, lower down into that goddess. Drop that tailbone nice and tall through the midline of the body. Inhale, bring it up. Exhale, bring it down. Nice. Inhale, bring it up. Exhale, bring it down. Awesome. Inhale, bring it up. Exhale, bring it down. One more time. Inhale, bring it up. Exhale, bring it down. Hold it here. Bring those hands into that heart center. Relax the shoulders, relax the face. Press those knees towards the back of the room. So much going on here. Weight is in those heels. We can wiggle those toes. Core is engaged. Pulse it here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Slowly straighten the legs. Bring hands to those hips, and we can heel toe those feet in, and then just walk them in closer together. I will stay in this direction on my mat, and we'll take an inhale for arms to rise up, and exhale, hands to that heart center. Awesome. So working into one of my favorite poses, which is tree pose. So we will start with our weight into that left leg. So weight will go into that left leg. And with that right foot, you can take it right to that left ankle. So you can just be right here, and this is your tree. This is awesome. This is where you are. Amazing. You can bring hands to heart center, stay right here. So it's very much a balancing pose. And you'll find that one side you're a little bit stronger than the other, and that's just normal, and that's okay. So one side will be really wobbly, one side you'll be like, yeah, I'm a rock star. So just finding and accepting and knowing that every time we come to our mat, it's just a different challenge, and that's what makes us coming back. So getting back to where we were, that right foot can be on that left ankle. It can come to that inner calf, and this is where you can be. Most important, I'd like you to not put that foot on that knee. If you feel like you're just going for it today, maybe you can take that right foot, bring it to that inner left thigh. My little trick is thinking about that inner thigh and that foot pressing into each other. So they're just like rotating in towards each other. That left toe mound is pressing in. We're here in our tree pose. You're holding here for 5 breaths. Find where it feels good for you today. You can gaze towards the front of the room. You find that focal point, that drishti. It could be a little spot in the wall. It could be a photo. Just finding something that will keep you focused. And most important, again, keeping our breath, those inhales and those exhales. Now you can keep your hands at heart center, or maybe you'd like to open up those branches. Yeah, up into our tree. Take a little bit of, whoa, it's breezy, blowing in the wind. And then bring those hands back to heart center and release it down. Nice job. We'll take it to the opposite side. So, working into the right foot. So weight is into that right leg. Again, you can bring that left foot to that right ankle. This is where you stay, to that inner calf or to that inner thigh. If you're feeling adventurous, and holding it here. Hands come to that heart center. Again, find that focal point, that drishti, holding, breathing. We can start to open up our branches. Yeah. I love this pose. Centering in, feeling grounded. Keep that core engaged. Awesome. Again, big gust of wind. Whoa, whoa, whoa. It's okay. Make it fun. Take an inhale together. As we exhale, bring hands back into that heart center and releasing from wherever you are in that tree pose. Awesome job. Take an inhale for arms to rise up. And exhale, hands to that heart center. So from here, we'll take an inhale for arms to rise up. And as we exhale, we fold it forward, micro bend into those knees. Inhale for halfway lift. As we exhale, place our hands on the earth and just start to lower that tailbone down as we come down into our mats. So we're into a seated position. So from here, I'd like you to reach the fingertips towards the front of the room. I want you to hollow out that belly. So you're hollowing out that belly like you're catching a beach ball. And then we slowly lower our bodies all the way down into the earth. And then bring those knees into chest. So I'd like you to squeeze those knees into chest. And you can rock from side to side here. Take circular motion, rotating in one direction and then the other. And then I'd like you to place the soles of the feet onto the earth. Bring those heels close in towards our bum. Allow the knees to be hip-width distance apart. So this is where if you have a book or a block or a pillow, you can use it at this time. So we're coming into our bridge pose, but you can also take a supported bridge. So I'll show you bridge first. So bringing arms down by our side. Arms are down by our side. Again, heels are close in towards the bum. You start to press into the feet for knees and thighs to bring us up to rise. So those hips are reaching up towards the sky. Press into the feet. You might feel a nice little shift of the body. This brings us up into our bridge pose. And we like to hold it here for 5 breaths. But again, if you have a block or a pillow, you can use that as well. If you're in bridge, stay right where you are. So if you have a block, you can bring it to that sacrum area, that low back area. So having it right here or a pillow. And so you would just press into the feet to lift those hips up. Place that block, that book, that pillow underneath. Allow the body to rest here, to feel that support. And this is where you stay for a supported bridge pose. Feels really good. Settle in here. It's nice to feel that support. Taking one more inhale, one more exhale. If you're in that supported bridge, you'll press into the feet to lift those hips, and you'll set that pillow, block, or book to the side. And then if you're in a bridge pose, you'll just lower the body all the way down. Nice. And we will take bridge just one more time. Again, taking your option of whether or not you'd like to come into full bridge or come into that supported bridge. And again, we're just going to hold it here for 5 breaths. So press on up where you need to be. Hold it here. Again, keeping that core engaged, belly button in towards that spine.
And then slowly lower that body all the way down. Awesome. All right, let's draw those knees back into chest. So bringing those knees into chest. Again, take a little bit of movement here, rock from side to side. Take some circular motion in one direction and then the other. Nice. And bring those knees back into that center point. And then I like us to come into a tiny little ball. So you lift the shoulder blades up, squeeze those knees in. You give your body that well-deserved hug today, showing some love, knowing that a hug is always available for you whenever you need it. And then lower the shoulder blades back down into the earth. I'd like you to keep the left knee in towards the chest, and then extending that right leg out. So we're coming in for a supine twist. So hips will go slightly over to the left, and then the left knee is coming over the body to go towards the right side. So again, you can take a block to have underneath that left knee for support. Arms are out into a T. Thinking about keeping the shoulders down into the earth. So even if that knee is slightly hovering off the floor, that knee doesn't have to touch the floor. Most important is keeping the shoulder blades on the earth. You can gaze out over that left shoulder or gaze up towards the sky, holding it here. Breathe into your twist. We'll gently come out of the twist, extending that left leg out in front, realigning those hips, drawing that right knee in towards the chest. Hips will go slightly over to the right. Right knee comes over to the left. Again, arms are out into that T, shoulders are on the earth, and you can take that left hand to that right knee, or again, you can take a block underneath that knee for support. Find what works here for the body. It could be a knee, having a block under the knee, a pillow under it. Breathe into your twist. Settle here. Can gently come out of this supine twist. Realigning those hips, straighten out that right leg. And then I'd like you to bring arms up overhead so fingertips are reaching towards the back of the room, toes towards the front. So getting this full body stretch, this full body lengthening like you do when you first get out of bed. Yeah, it feels really good. Stretch it all out. And then taking an inhale together. As we exhale, I'd like you to bring those arms down by our side as we come in for our Shavasana. Shavasana, corpse pose as they call it, a pose of rest. I'm really finding some comfort here. If you like to put socks on or a sweatshirt or even grabbing a blanket to put over you, or you can place blocks underneath the knees or a bolster or even roll up a blanket and place it underneath the knees. I really like you to take just a moment to find a comfortable position for yourself and then allow yourself to settle here. Shavasana is the time to let the body rest, to allow it to rejuvenate. But most important, Shavasana is a time for ourselves. To allow yourself these moments. To feel yourself start to let it go. Starting from the crown of your head, down through the eyes, to the jaw, maybe even opening the jaw and slightly closing it, down through the neck and through the shoulders, releasing it out. If you feel any tension, just allow it to just float away. Down through the back into the hips where we can hold tension, allowing them to release, to open, all the way through the legs to the tips of our toes.
to feel as though you could melt into the mat and into the earth, and to float away for just these moments.
And slowly start to awaken the body, awaken the senses. Maybe wiggling those fingers and wiggling those toes. And when you're ready, taking a moment to roll on to our right side, coming into that fetal position. And maybe just allowing the forehead to rest onto the mat. I'd like you to take a nice big inhale to fill the body all the way up. And you can do an open mouth exhale to just release it all out. And leaving anything that we don't need to carry with us, leaving it here on the mat. Pressing into the palms of the hand to slightly rise up into a seated position, and eyes can be closed or halfway, and bringing our hands into heart center and our chin to chest. And being grateful for today. Grateful that we take this time to come and practice together. My hope is that your heart has been filled today, filled with light and with love. Taking one more inhale to fill our bodies all the way up, reaching those arms up overhead. And then as we exhale, bringing those thumb knuckles back to that heart center, pressing thumb knuckles into chest. Finding this connection to ourselves and to each other. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me for a beginner, and I hope to see you again soon. Have a lovely day.